A proposal to hit billionaires with a new tax is nowhere close to becoming reality, but some of the state's richest residents, lawmakers, and labor groups are already clashing over it. And some of those billionaires are preparing to take their business to other states. Healthcare labor group SEIU United Healthcare Workers West has filed the proposed ballot initiative. It would impose a one-time 5% tax on Californians with assets worth at least $1 billion. I spoke with Suzanne Jimenez with SEIU UHW. She is the group's leader behind that proposal. Here's part of our conversation. Suzanne, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So this is still in the early stages. You're in the signature gathering process to just get this on the ballot. How is that going right now?
So we just got our title and summary last Friday, and so we will actually be hitting the streets collecting signatures in about a week. So we haven't quite started, but we know there's lots of excitement about the petition, and so we think it's going to go well once we're out on the street collecting signatures.
With this proposal, how much money do you expect the state's government could collect, and how exactly would that money be used?
Yeah, so the California billionaire tax is a one-time emergency 5% tax that is taxed on only 200 or just over 200 individuals here in California, and it would raise about $100 billion over 5 years. 90% of it would go to healthcare, 10% of it would go to K through 14 education and food assistance programs.
For the last couple of weeks on social media, we've seen a lot of debate on this. The New York Times reported that venture capitalist and co-founder of Google, Larry Page, as well as venture capitalist Peter Thiel, are seriously considering leaving the state. What's your response to that?
You know, there are always these kind of chicken little arguments whenever there are tax policies like this being proposed. And when we look at real life examples of these kind of tax policies, none of that ever materializes. So as an example, in Massachusetts, they moved a millionaire's tax. And there were lots of kind of rumors and speculations that millionaires were going to flee the state. And when the tax passed, it actually was the opposite. And so now there are more millionaires in the state of Massachusetts. And so I just think kind of the swirl that is happening right now around the California billionaire tax is kind of the same argument. And we really believe that the benefit from this tax is going to outweigh, you know, maybe a couple people moving out of the state, because we're really heading towards a healthcare crisis where we are going to see billions of dollars cut from our healthcare system. And the money raised in this initiative is going to support that.
But California already has one of the largest budgets in the nation, and they already have, we already have a progressive tax system in this state. People like Page and Thiel and the other top 1% of earners in California combined pay about a total of half of the state's income tax, which pays for state programs. Why risk losing those people?
So the way that the billionaire tax is actually written is it is to deal with cuts that are coming from HR 1. And so really what we're talking about right now is, as we're heading into 2026 and with the passage of HR 1, the state of California is looking at losing $100 billion in healthcare funding for the next 5 years. And if we don't do anything right now, we are going to see our hospitals close. We are going to see ERs close. And so that's really what this billionaire tax is about. And when you also look at ultra wealthy folks, they are not taxed similar to like teachers and firefighters and, you know, everyday workers that have to pay on their income tax. They actually don't get taxed at the same rate as many of us. And so we actually think that the revenue that's going to be raised from the billionaire tax is going to outweigh any loss in terms of, if any of those ultra wealthy folks move out of the state.
Some of those ultra-wealthy folks, venture capitalists online, including David Sachs and Chamath Palihapitiya, have basically said state leaders can't be trusted, though, with even more money, pointing to some of the fraud and waste in our state budget. Is that a fair point that they're making?
You know, the initiative is actually written in a way so that the money can only be used. It's put in a special fund. It could only be used for 90% of it has to go towards healthcare and specifically services that were cut through HR 1. And so that means Medicaid. That also means subsidies for covered California or folks that are on the exchange. It also includes, services like home care services, nursing home services that seniors and veterans rely on. So this initiative is written in a way that the funding or the revenue that is raised can only go to these cuts that we've been talking about.
My full conversation with Suzanne Jimenez is available on calpolitics360.com.